The WrestleBread Podcast, bringing you the latest news, recaps, and analysis of AEW and WWE. Get the unique perspective from a wrestling fan of over 25 years. Here's your host, Jaydee.
What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee, and this is episode 124 of the WrestleBread Podcast. So we got football back. Football is on tonight with the Cowboys, my Dallas Cowboys, going against Tommy Boy. Now, I will admit I have Tommy on my fantasy football team. So either way this game goes, I benefit from it. I decided to play just one league this year since I don't know what's going to happen with this season, if COVID is going to affect it or not. But who knows? I normally play more than one. I normally may play like 3-4 leagues or something like that. And then on top of that, DraftKings, but I decided to just keep a low profile this year and just kind of enjoy the season for what it is right now. And next year I will. Also, we had the state of play from PlayStation. It wasn't like 100% impressive. There were some things that they already showed and talked about. However, we had some announcements. We got a remake of Knights of the Old Republic. I don't know if that's going to turn out to be similar to what they did with Final Fantasy VII, where it's a remake with, with a few twists to it. But I'm excited for that, of course. We also have the announcement of Insomniac coming out with Wolverine. I know that's going to be good because Spider-Man's good. And speaking of Spider-Man, we also have Spider-Man 2 coming out. Right now I'm playing Miles Morales on my Twitch channel. Please follow me there if you are not already. JDC137 on Twitch. I need some followers, please. I'm currently playing Miles Morales on there, and I love the first Spider-Man, and I'm liking Miles Morales so far. And with now coming out with Spider-Man 2, I can't wait to play that. And then we got a little bit of God of War, and I may lose some points for this, but I haven't played the God of War series. There's a lot of games I need to catch up with, but I'm very excited for what's coming out. There's also a rumor, getting into some news and rumors as well, that WWE 2K22 is going to have the GM mode back, which I'm very excited about. I love the GM mode. Who doesn't love the GM mode? Apparently it hasn't. Someone said 15 years. I don't think it's been that long. Maybe it has been. It's definitely been a while. So I might be getting 2K22. And I'll just use all the downloadable players or something like that, because there's barely going to be anyone on the roster by the time that game comes out. Speaking of which, the rumor that Kevin Owens' contract is up January 2022. I thought his contract was up a couple of years later, but apparently there was like a restructure or something like that to shorten his contract. I don't know. But it's rumored that apparently he is, going to be done with WWE. He did recently tweet, it was a deleted tweet now, Mount Rushmore, which is a reference to the stable of him, the Young Bucks, and Adam Cole, because, AEW is where it's at right now. And I'll get into AEW in a moment. Also, thoughts and prayers to Triple H, who had surgery after a cardiac event. People sitting there, of course, making jokes, making references to NXT or whatnot, which, really isn't the time and place. But apparently he got out of surgery. He's expected to do well. So thoughts and prayers with him that he, have a speedy recovery. Also, PWI came out with their top wrestlers of the past year, Kenny Omega was number 1, with Roman Reigns number 2, and Bobby Lashley number 3. Some people are upset about it because they felt as though Roman Reigns should have been number 1, while as though Kenny Omega had pretty much almost every title in wrestling besides WWE titles. Bouncing back and forth between different brands. And then, of course, Bobby Lashley showing his dominance this past year as well, with him and the Hurt Business, and then him winning the title and beating Goldberg. So, I don't know. I used to take these type of lists, seriously, but now I kind of take it with a grain of salt. It is what it is. I mean, you can say it's something for people to put on their resume, I guess, that they are number 1 on the PWI list and stuff like that. But, something I noticed really hit me these past 2 weeks is that AEW is not WWE. Of course, with people, possibly leaving WWE after their contracts, especially with the restructuring of NXT, a lot of people feel as though this person's going to go to AEW, that person's going to go to AEW. And I admit, I was one of the people who felt as though that, AEW's turn into WCW. I don't want them to turn into WCW 2.0 with signing, all these people, that they should concentrate on their own talent and stuff like that. And I come to realize that that's not exactly what's going on with AEW. I realized that they're doing something that I wanted WWE to do, and that is to rotate their talent. Instead of seeing the same matches over and over and over again, like we have seen on Raw, that we're getting new faces, and it's not like WWE. And I come to realize we've been so conditioned by the way WWE runs things that when AEW popped up, you're either comparing the two or you are assuming that AEW runs similar to WWE. So, it's why I said, well, they got a bloated roster. How are they going to fit all these people on 3 hours? Well, even though they do have the YouTube channel. Well, that's because, this person doesn't have to wrestle every single week. For example, Jon Moxley doesn't have to wrestle every single week. And, you can do backstage segments at a certain point. And, you can still be shown on Dynamite the next week in a backstage segment. But it's a segment that could have been recorded the week before. So, it's very good for the wrestlers, that they don't have to be on every single week. But it is still difficult for AEW to kind of book what goes onto the TV for those 3 hours of shows. Because I really don't see how they're going to... I don't know how they're going to add anything else. Their only choices is to either add to Monday or Tuesday, or come on Friday, which will be in competition with WWE. Add a show on Thursdays, which would kind of spread out the roster a little more, but they would have to definitely figure out how that will work with TNT, especially when it comes to the basketball season. Or if they add another hour to Dynamite, which Tony Khan said that he didn't want to do that, and make Dynamite 3 hours. You can't really add a second hour afterwards for Rampage, because Rampage already comes on so late. And if you add an hour before, that puts you in competition with SmackDown. So, they kind of got their hands tied. But speaking of AEW, let's get into All Out. And I have to say, All Out was definitely one of the best pay-per-views in a while. The excitement and the way that, you felt during the pay-per-view, it definitely, I would say maybe, because a lot of people were saying, of the past 10 years of all time and stuff like that. And I slightly disagree, because there are takeovers that have occurred within the past 10 years that is definitely like I would have to go through, but I know off the top of my head that there are some NXT takeovers that were absolutely great. And there wasn't any like slow down or, they could have done this type of situation. Best pay-per-view of the year, definitely. Best of the past 5 years, I would have to really think about that, but definitely not 10 years. But as far as like excitement and stuff like that, I would say like it felt like, if you relate it to WWE, maybe like WrestleMania 30 or even WrestleMania 35 with Kofi Mania and Becky Lynch and everything like that. But, it's so great to be a wrestling fan. And, I think it's not really dumb, but it makes no sense to like be so stuck to one promotion. There's too many promotions out here. There's New Japan, there's Ring of Honor, there's Impact, there's a lot of other companies that you can definitely get into, and you're not like completely stuck to it. Trust me, I've done it for 20 something years with WWE, and once you come out that bubble, you realize that there is a world of professional wrestling out here. It definitely change your world, I should say. But this pay-per-view, I paid for it. I paid for it in full. It was definitely worth the money, which I knew it would be. Was it long? Yes. Could they have taken out a match or two? Yes. But all in all, I think this was a really good show. The crowd was hot for this show. It's really, a crowd can really make or break a pay-per-view, truthfully. If a match, because we've seen it happen where a match is really good, but the crowd is dead, it can definitely like take the excitement. It can suck out the air in the arena. But if a crowd is hot for a match, even if it's the corniest match ever, it's like the best thing. And it gives me like Raw after Mania vibes where the crowd is just continuous with chants and stuff like that. Even when, Raw after Mania, when they do the wave and stuff. Maybe not the beach ball situation, but definitely gives me vibes of, a great Raw, Raw after Mania. But yeah, All Out was amazing. And of course we had speculations about who's going to show up, who's not going to show up. And I would say definitely ballsy as far as what they did with the surprises. I mean, we got Adam Cole, we got Daniel Bryan, we got Ruby Soho, which, you kind of expected with her little teaser videos and everything. But, everything else was just completely amazing. Now, they did the pre-show with the 10-man tag, which was good starting out. I forgot to pull up my little stats here. The 10-man tag was, pretty good. As a pretty good match to start off with the Best Friends and Jurassic Express going against Matt Hardy Office, which I hate that name. I really do. That's Matt Hardy Private Party. I miss Private Party from when they first came to AEW. I feel like who they are right now is a little bit watered down than the, exciting high flying tag team that they were. And I kind of slightly feel the same way about the hybrid. I felt as though this match could have definitely went, not really over the top, but I felt like it could have went a lot more with this match. But it was an okay match. The crowd put over Orange Cassidy, of course, but I felt as though this could have, maybe it could have went a little bit longer, but I guess you wanted to, get Orange Cassidy and Jungle Boy on the card to kind of get the kind of get the crowd going. From there, we had Merrill versus Eddie Kingston, and I like both men. I had a feeling that Miro was going to win, but I wouldn't have been mad if Eddie was to win the title. But Miro has been on such a great run. I like his character. It got a little weird. I don't know if it was the go home show for Dynamite or if it was actually it was a go home show for Dynamite that they was like going back and forth talking. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Why won't we just start the match? The ref was playing pretty dumb, which I guess was cool. There was this spot where he was putting up, I think he was putting up the padding for the turnbuckle, and he took like ridiculously too long to put it back. But all in all, this was a good match. Eddie Kingston, of course, was heavily over. I mean, I feel as though down the line, he will definitely get the TNT championship. But, you know, it's just not right now. I mean, it seems like we're going to get a rematch anyway between these two. And then Miro, of course, afterwards tweeting out, "Your nuts have been redeemed." Oh my gosh, he's on such a tear. After that, we had Jon Moxley versus Satoshi Kojima. This match was for about 11 minutes. A lot of back and forth between these two. And I think it was Excalibur. Excalibur did a pretty good job explaining who Satoshi is to those of us who don't really watch New Japan. The crowd, of course, treated this like it was a freaking 5-star match. I think this match kind of felt quick, but it actually wasn't too long. Match went about almost 12 minutes. But this was a lot of back and forth with this match. Jon Moxley wins, of course. And then out came Minoru Suzuki, which is the person who Jon Moxley has been calling out this whole time. The crowd popped, of course. And I didn't know who this person is, but they explained who it is. The crowd was going absolutely crazy. So I'm like, okay, you know, this is a final boss type of situation here. And they started going back and forth. And then he put Moxley in like a rear naked choke or something like that. Moxley was bleeding from the elbow during the match. As of course, he's always bleeding every time he wrestles. And Suzuki took out Moxley, which, you know, after Moxley not really dominated, but definitely defeated Kojima with 2 paradigm shifts for Suzuki to come in and take out Moxley, kind of. And then, of course, it sets up the match between them for Dynamite, which I'll get into a little bit later. But this was a fine match. If I knew who Suzuki was, I probably would have been a lot more excited. But the crowd definitely helped out this match to kind of, especially when Suzuki came out, for me to be okay, you know, this feels like something big here. And of course they explained who he was and everything, kind of to give a bit of a refresher, not really a refresher, but like a crash course for those of us who don't know who the hell he is. So then after that, we had Dr. Britt Baker going against Kris Statlander. I didn't even notice that Orange Cassidy was outside of the ring until probably like midway through the match. Britt Baker, who is over as all hell. This was a pretty good match, and I'm happy that Britt Baker defeated Statlander clean. I really hate it when, you know, with heels, they decide to have the heel automatically win with either interference or DQ or something stupid like that. Let the heels win clean. I'm completely fine with that. I have to say that there was a lot of near finishes. Sometimes when they and it happened in the the cage match as well, where there was just like a bunch of near finishes, and it's just like, I mean, not to really complain, but sometimes it kind of takes the I don't know, kind of like I can't even think of the word for it, but the match isn't. I guess I want to say like smooth, or that it makes the actual finish kind of like it'd be like, oh, okay, all right, she got the pin there type of situation. But all in all, this was a good match between the women. I just really hope that AEW definitely works on the women's division. I'll get into something that they did that should have not happened, I guess I should say, after I talk about All Out. But Britt Baker coming through with the lockjaw to retain her title, and we'll see. Well, we found out who she will be going against later on that night. But yeah, I really like Britt Baker. I love the where she is now versus starting out. I thought that she was the poster girl for AEW, but she just wasn't ready at the moment. And for her to win the title now, and for her to be like completely over right now, is just like, it's a very exciting thing to see. And I don't know when they're going to take the title off of her, but I have a feeling that they're going to do it soon. First of all, Britt Baker doing the Panama Sunrise. I think she called it the Pittsburgh Sunrise or something like that. But when she did the Panama Sunrise, I definitely popped for it. I'm like, okay, that means your man is there, or he's watching at home, and or he's backstage or something. But yeah, I definitely I like this match. Definitely a good showing of the women, and definitely show the potential of where the women's division could go. Now we come to the match of the night, and that was the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros cage match for the tag team titles. Chef's kiss for this. I mean, I knew this was going to be match of the night, but oh my gosh, this match exceeded my expectations. The Young Bucks are tied for the most successful defenses. They're tied with Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. And so I was slightly confused at the structure of this match. Jim Ross was also confused, apparently, if this was more of a tornado match or if this was a regular tag team match. I don't know why I assumed, but I assumed that it was going to be a regular tag team match, but I don't know why I thought that. But it was actually a tornado tag, which definitely worked a lot better with these four. Nick Jackson, with the weirdest facial hair I ever seen, dyed his mustache blonde and part of his goatee blonde as well. It was like, if it looked like an optimal illusion. First of all, this was a very fun match. Crazy ass spots. The Young Bucks, I guess because the camera was in the ring, you can definitely hear the Young Bucks doing their signature trash talking before they do a move. I forgot it was Matt or Nick, but one of them did the see ya before they did a super kick, which I completely love. That's what kind of drew me to them when I first saw them at House of Hardcore. When they started doing the trash talking before they do the moves, I was like, yo, I love that. Crowd was definitely behind the Lucha Bros. There was and I have to say, with this match, I felt as though it should have finished a little earlier in the match. I think there was a Canadian destroyer from the top rope, and the match should have ended there. But of course, we had to do the spot of Rey Fenix diving off the top of the cage like a madman. And then they did, I don't know the name of the other finisher, but it looked like the Magic Killer. They did that, and that's how they won the match. And I'm like, they could have easily had won from the Canadian Destroyer. I feel as though, a match should be won when, it's at the height. Kind of like once it reaches a certain peak, that's when the match should end. But I guess they wanted to, they wanted to do the spot of him diving off the top rope and have the match end that way. Now, this match also had the spot where I think it was Matt who had the Nike with the thumbtacks on it, and he was doing super kicks on Penta, who, such a loving brother. They were going to super kick Rey Fenix with the Nike shoe, but Penta, got in front of Rey, and it was pretty much like, kick me instead. And then he got super kicked a number of times. It looked like he was bleeding from his eye or something like that. Like, it was crazy. They ripped the mask on both of them. And, the Nike spot, oh my gosh. I was sitting there like, that Nike is tacky. Thank you. That was all. That was it. That was it. I'm gonna stop there. But yeah, this was a great match. Definitely match of the night, match of the year. Could have had done without a few things, yes, but not all matches are completely perfect. It's very rare that we will get a perfectly done match, but this match was very entertaining. Tag team wrestling forever. I'm so happy that the Lucha Bros won the tag team titles. Definitely deserved it. Felt as though they should have won it a while ago, but it is what it is. But what I do like with AEW is that they're not playing hot potato with these titles, that when someone wins the title, that they actually retain it for a while. We've seen it with the, definitely with the AEW championship and with the tag team titles as well. Also for the TNT championship, I think the TNT championship only had, four people. We went from, I think it was Cody, then Brody, Cody again, and then Darby, and then Miro. So yeah, 5 people, 5 switches technically. But yeah, I like the fact that we're not playing hot potato with the championships. That is actually being defended successfully, and that it means a lot more because you're on top of the game. You are, on top of the game for a lot longer instead of, simply holding the title for 8 days or holding the title for 3 weeks or something like that and then losing to the person who should have won it from the get-go anyway. But I guess it's something nice to put on the resume. I know that's the second time I said that, but yeah. But this was a great match. Great match. I loved it. Next up after that, we had the Women's Casino Battle Royale. First we had the clubs, which was Sheeta, Sky Blue, and I love what they did here. Sky Blue was enhancement talent that was on, I think it was Dark, and it was announced that she was from Chicago, and the crowd was like completely behind her throughout the whole match. She went against Red Velvet, and it was to the point that Red Velvet was booed. And so, oh my gosh. I have the game up here, and the kicker like completely missed the damn field goal, but whatever. The crowd was definitely behind her, like to the point that Tony Khan offered her a spot in the Casino Battle Royale. Now, could it have gone to someone else? Yes, but it's still a nice story for Sky Blue. She can put on her resume that she was on an AEW pay-per-view. But no, it's a nice gesture that, that if somebody's that popular, they have the opportunity to kind of get the spotlight. I mean, let's be honest, the winner is already picked anyway. And so it don't really matter who's in it because the winner is going to win. So we had Sky Blue, we had Sakura, I'm about to say Bad Bunny. Oh, jeez. The Bunny and then Abaddon. I think this was her first match back. She looked good. And then of course Sky Blue was eliminated first. I think she was eliminated by Abaddon, or she was eliminated by Bunny. I forgot which one. Then we had the Diamonds: Anna Kay, Kiera Hogan, Kaylin King, Diamante, and Nyla Rose. From there, we had the Hearts, Thunder Rosa, who came out to a big pop, Penelope Ford, Rihu, I think it was Jamie. Yeah, I think it was Jamie here. And then Big Swole, who came out with a really big pop, too, and they started singing her song, which I completely loved. Let me see. And then we get to the Spades, Tay Conti, Red Velvet, Layla, Jade, and then Rebel. Of course, Nyla Rose and Jade pretty much dominated most of the battle royale. And then came the Joker, and before the Joker came, the crowd started chanting for Ruby Soho. I want to say Riot, but I know her name's Soho, which I absolutely loved. And then, here comes the Joker, and it was Ruby. And I loved this moment. She comes out, the crowd is going crazy. She obviously feels the love, so you see her tearing up and everything. And she showed the back of her jacket, which says Destination AEW, The Runaway. She had the music that was given to her by the band Rancid, and she has the name Ruby Soho. So I think the crowd was singing the song as well. But I'm so happy for her. And I even listened to the media scrum afterwards of her telling how she feels in AEW, and she mentioned how she never felt welcomed, and how when she came in, everyone was saying how happy they were that she was there. And, she just felt so welcomed, and, it's something that to come to work and be happy to work and feel welcomed is just not something that she has felt in a very long time. And she loved the reaction of the fans and everything. And it's just it's a beautiful story. But of course we got down to, Nyla Rose eliminated Jade, so that's going to start that feud between them, which I'm not mad about. I would love to see that feud. We got down. What was the final? I forgot who the third person was. I think it was Nyla Rose. So we got down to Nyla Rose, Thunder Rosa, and then Ruby Soho. Nyla Rose was eliminated, and we were down to Thunder Rosa and Ruby Soho, which I was not mad at all. I thought it was going to be Thunder Rosa, but I figured, with Ruby Soho coming, the way that AEW works, whenever someone makes a debut in the Casino Battle Royale or something like that, they're the ones who normally wins. And that's what happened. Ruby Soho wins. She hugged the referee Bryce, which I didn't know that they worked together previously, but, that was pretty cool. And so now we got Ruby Soho with a title shot to go against Britt Baker. And I know some people may feel, something about that, she's automatically getting the title shot, whereas though the women who's been there haven't gotten a title shot, which, some of them actually did. I'll have to look through the list, but I know Sheeta got the title shot. I know Thunder Rosa faced Britt Baker while she was still champion. Nyla Rose. Who else? Not Jade, of course. Jade's definitely going to have the title later on down the line. Jade Cargill is my spirit animal. Oh my gosh. She is so beautiful. And she's crazy athletic. I like Red Velvet too, as well. And of course, who doesn't love Tay Conti? I'm happy that Anna Jay is back. The women's division is showing up. And like I always say, I feel like the talent is there. They just need they just need some help and I won't say exposure because, there's going to be botches and stuff. And I'll talk about it now. And what we had on AEW Dynamite was Ruby Soho versus Jamie Hayter. And oh my gosh, I hope Ruby Soho is okay, because Jamie Hayter, I think she did I don't know if it was a backbreaker, but it was actually a neck breaker or something like that. But Ruby landed on her neck very awkwardly, and you saw her grabbing at her neck for the rest of the match. And so I'm really hoping that she is okay. And it wasn't the greatest of matches. It was a bit sloppy on Jamie's part. But however, on AEW Dark, we had a great match between Swole and Diamante. And I understand with Ruby Soho, you want her to be on TV, but they could have moved that match to Rampage, and you could have easily had Diamante versus Swole on Dynamite. And I don't know if it's true or anything that TNT only wants one women's match per Dynamite, which I think is a load of crap. But Diamante versus Swole, it was like a three falls match. That could have definitely been on Dynamite. Could have definitely showed the talent between Swole and Diamante. But, that's not what we got here. But I am happy for Ruby Soho. I feel as though, with Ruby Soho coming in and a lot of the other people from WWE coming in, at first I was like, I don't want them, have signing all these stars and things like that. But I come to realize it's actually going to help AEW. Now, stay with me here. A lot of people kind of forget that AEW is only 2 years old. This is a very new promotion who got a TV deal very fast. On top of that, WWE has all the talent. When AEW first formed, even before, people kind of forgot that WWE signed a bunch of people, and they went around and grabbed top tier talent. Not saying that the talent in AEW is trash, but WWE went and got top tier talent. And so from there, oh my gosh, our kicker sucks. From there, you have to understand that these are wrestlers who have never, not like the elite or anything like that, but there are wrestlers who never wrestled in front of all these people before on camera, having to, be on, not every week, but to be on camera constantly and, do interviews and cut promos and stuff like that. Sometimes it's a bit intimidating. And then on top of that, you have a company that haven't done like long-term booking and storylines and stuff like that, which is slightly missing from AEW. Like, I feel as though we were kind of cheated out of the feud between Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston, because that fire promo between them two didn't come to the AEW Dynamite before their match. And I'm always upset about that, because I'm like, we could have got that fire promo like early on in the feud, and that would have made the build up for that feud like 20 times better. To know that those two are childhood friends, and that Moxley made a promise to his mom, and then Eddie Kingston, telling us how he told his mom, "You're not getting grandkids because of this title." Like, that part was that whole promo between them two was fire, and it felt real. But unfortunately, we didn't get that until later on. And so I feel as though with some of these veterans, they can definitely help out people, especially those who are struggling with, creative process, like what they should say, what should they do, how they should do that, this, that, and the third. And I think with people like Ruby Soho and CM Punk and Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan having the experience of being on TV every single week and having to, cut promos and do character work. And while, yes, AEW gives a lot more creative freedom, so you don't have the scripted promos and stuff like that, they can definitely help as far as like being comfortable enough on TV and give pointers to those who have been in AEW since day one. So after the Casino Battle Royale, we have the match between MJF and Chris Jericho. MJF is one of the best heels out here because, first of all, that Y2J tease with the countdown, and then on the Titantron, it said Jericho's last match, and it was MJF. I was like, that's the best troll I have seen so far from MJF. And then we had Chris Jericho, who you would have thought this was the final match. You know, you would have thought that he was going to like retire or something like that. He came out with the guitarist from Fozzy who played Judas, and the crowd was trying to sing it. I guess they wanted, you know, him to sing the crowd in. Oh my gosh, our defense is amazing. I'm sorry. Like, I guess they wanted the crowd to sing him to the ring like they did before. But unfortunately, the guitarist, he was playing a little too fast for the crowd, and the crowd was trying to sing the song in the normal speed that it's done, but the guitarist was kind of playing a little fast for them, so, you know, everything was kind of a bit off. This match was okay between these two, truthfully. I mean, this is like the third match that we have gotten. And then, we saw this match before, like a couple of weeks ago. So it was pretty much like, what could we have gotten from this match that we haven't really seen before? I mean, there was the spot where Chris Jericho threw a damn post at MJF. I forgot where it hit him, but it definitely, if it had hit his head, it would definitely have done damage. And, you know, a lot of people were secretly rooting for Jericho to win, so we wouldn't have to hear him on commentary. Look, I like Chris Jericho, but for some reason, he feels the need to scream while he's on commentary. But yeah, no, I don't want that. I really don't. But this match was fine. The crowd was definitely into it, which definitely helped out a lot. But, you know, and then on top of that, Chris Jericho, I forgot he did the Walls of Jericho. That's what he did. He did the Walls of Jericho. He worked on MJF's lower back a lot, and MJF had tapped out. Then the Inner Circle came out and celebrated with Chris Jericho after the match. I don't really know where we're going to go from here, like if he's going to eventually retire. It felt like he was trying to retire with him going against a lot of, you know, having the death match with Nick Gage, and then Hutu coming in and him wrestling, them two wrestling, and, you know, I don't know where we're going from here. Maybe this is him taking a break for a little while, and then he's going to come back. I don't know. But I don't know where we're going to go from here. Then from there, we had Darby Allin against CM Punk. First of all, motherfucking Darby Allin jumping out of a helicopter. He showed off his skateboard, which had CM Punk's face, and half of his face was a skull, which I thought was so cool. And then, of course, CM Punk comes out. The crowd goes batshit crazy. CM Punk with the tights, which I'm not used to. I'm not mad at it. From what I've read, he wore shorts in Ring of Honor, but I'm not used to him wearing tights instead of the trunks that he always wore in WWE. But I guess between him, you know, taking time off from wrestling and then and then fighting in MMA, that, you know, he probably felt as though like tights would look better on him. He looked good, first of all. For people like having opinions about this match, like, can we just stop for a moment and realize that this is a man who haven't wrestled in 7 years. Like maybe, maybe had trained or something like that. I don't know. But he hasn't wrestled in 7 years. There are people who wrestle every week who are more rusty than CM Punk was. The match between these two was awesome. This match went on for 16 minutes. And I have to say, he looked good. He looked really good. And I was like completely surprised by it. That he looked good. Because I was hoping that he wasn't going to look sluggish or if he was going to have rust, because Darby Allin, he's on all cylinders. Darby Allin doesn't slow down. Like, you're barely standing up when he goes for that crazy suicide dive where he throws his whole body towards you. And of course there was this crazy spot, Darby Allin, I think he did, I don't know if it was a suicide dive or he did a tope suicida. That's probably the same thing, I think. But he hit the ring post on his back or something like that. Oh, no. He was trying to hit CM Punk in the corner and he went through the turnbuckles and he like hit the ring post and kind of like flew onto the ground, which I thought was pretty crazy. Now, I don't know, the story kind of gives me vibes of like, you know, the old guy wondering if he still has it, where the up and coming guy, you know, is trying to prove that he can take down the legend. But yeah, this was pretty good. This was a really good match. CM Punk winning, I'm okay with that. Like I said, I was slightly concerned with this match, and like I said, this is the WWE-ness in me that, you know, I felt as though it was a very a bad position that they put themselves in, because this is CM Punk's first match back, and it's like CM Punk has to win his first match back, right? Because, you know, this is in Chicago, and then it's like, yeah, but it's Darby Allin. Like, Darby Allin should win this because he's been wrestling this whole time, going against someone who hasn't wrestled in 7 years. But I liked, now, and CM Punk did win, but what I liked the fact, and CM Punk was interviewed afterwards about it, and he put over Darby Allin. He was pretty much like, you know, I'm ready to face the next person as long as it's not Darby Allin, because I barely survived him. Like, he is a tough son of a bitch. And I'm completely fine with that. That, you know, even though Darby Allin lost, that he still was put over, and was put over as like, you know, yeah, Darby Allin is like 95 pounds soaking wet, but he's a tough SOB, and I don't want to go against him anymore. Which is, you know, a big compliment coming from CM Punk. I definitely like that. But yeah, there, like I said, there are people who wrestle every week that doesn't look that good in the ring like CM Punk did. And yes, I am talking about Nia Jax. After that, we had the Big Show versus QT Marshall. Now, was this a match that could have been thrown on Dynamite or Dark or Elevation or maybe even Rampage? Yes. However, I appreciated that they did this match at this point. Kind of give it, you know, this was, let's face it, this was the bathroom break match. This was the this is the match that you run to the bathroom because you was holding it when you was watching CM Punk or Darby versus Darby Allin, and you want to quickly go to the bathroom before you see Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage. Now, this was a very short match. This match was only for 3 minutes. Which I'm fine that they didn't try to pull a 10-minute, 20-minute match out of these two. That, you know, it was straight to the point. Paul Wight slapping QT, giving chops to QT Marshall plenty of times. A little concerned about Paul Wight because he was limping. And CM Punk was limping too. But I noticed like it was something with Paul Wight. I don't know if it was with the hips or something like that, but he was walking kind of funny. But, you know, Paul Wight, of course, winning the match. I guess we're going to kill this feud between those two, or we're going to keep it going. Who knows? But I'm fine with this match being thrown between these two. Like I said, it's the bathroom break. Because this card was stacked. And it wasn't really a lot of matches where you could have ran to go to the bathroom. So I appreciate that they did this here. it served its purpose. It is what it is. And then we come to the main event, Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage. We had Don Callis in the ringside. Of course, we eventually had the Good Brothers coming down to interfere. But yeah, I was not mad at this match. Like, you know, Cage showing that, you know, he got something in the tank. He definitely got something in take. And this was a pretty good match between these two. It was a bit back and forth. The whole thing was Christian Cage trying to do his finish on Kenny Omega, and of course Christian doing the spear is kind of crazy. There were a couple of spots where I think Kenny Omega was trying to do the one wing angel. Actually, no, he did the one wing angel from the top rope, if I'm not mistaken, for the win. A lot of V triggers, a lot of hard hitting. Of course, that's what Kenny Omega is known for. But this was a lot back and forth, and it was a pretty good match. I would have to say a lot better than what I expected. I like Christian Cage when he was in the tag team. I'm not gonna lie to you. As a singles competitor, especially in AEW, I wasn't as convinced, but you know, this feud between him and Kenny Omega was really good. What did it top what we would expect from Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page? No. But this is Hangman Page deciding to take time off for the birth of his child versus management saying, oh, look, there's Christian Cage. Let's put Christian Cage in the title match instead of Hangman Page instead. So I'm completely fine with that. And then, of course, like I said, nobody really cared for this match. All everyone wanted was the match to be over so we can find out who the hell is coming out at the end of the show. But this was a good match. So then, of course, we had Kenny Omega beating down Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers beating down Christian Cage, and then Jungle Boy and Jurassic Express comes in to fight as well, and then they beat them down. Kenny Omega grabs the mic and he mentioned how he is the best at what he do, and he said there's no one that could beat me. He says the only people who could actually beat me are not here. They're either not here, they retired, or they're already dead. And then the lights go out, and I was like, oh, who is coming out? And I had the slight idea that it was Adam Cole because he mentioned dead, and then the lights go out. But it was Adam Cole, and I popped for it. First of all, I love his theme. It's definitely, it definitely gives me vibes of Undisputed Era. But I love like it's all about the boom. I love that. Definitely fits him. With the new t-shirt, which I am definitely going to get, the All Elite Bebe t-shirt. Cause you gotta show off the t-shirt, in AEW, because they are a t-shirt company, right? Are we still going with that? Are we still going with a t-shirt company or a pissant company or whatever it was they were called? But yeah, you gotta show off the new t-shirt. Of course, he had on the matching kicks as well. He comes down. You kind of had a slight idea that, you know, wait, what is he, you know, against the Bucks? Is he going to join? I mean, is he against the Elite? Is he going to join the Elite? Because, you know, in their YouTube show, they poisoned him before he left for WWE. So it kind of like plants the little seed in your head. Then, of course, Adam Cole super kicks Jungle Boy. And of course, he is with the Elite. He mentioned how there's that the Elite is the most dominant force in wrestling today, and there's no chance in hell that anyone is going to say different or something along those lines. And then Kenny Omega goes to do his goodbye, and we wishes everyone adieu. And then it hits. First of all, I love Daniel Bryan's song. When they dropped that bass, stop it, okay? Stop it. If I was driving, I would pump that song all around Philly. No lie. But yeah, Daniel Bryan coming out. The crowd goes crazy, chanting yes and everything like that. And oh my gosh, coming out. Now, people are saying that they felt as though Bryan, and I have to try not to say Daniel Bryan, that Bryan Danielson debut overshadowed Adam Cole, which I completely disagree with. Yes, people popped for Bryan Danielson, but however, it was a counteract to Adam Cole. Adam Cole came to join the Elite, and Daniel Bryan came to go against the Elite. I felt as though both of them held their own, because you could say, oh, it all overshadowed Ruby Soho, and it overshadowed Suzuki coming down, and this, that, and the third. And I feel as though no, each debut was its own right. It basically like build off of each other. Like you had Suzuki coming in, and you pop for that, and then you had Ruby Soho, and you pop for that, and you had Adam Cole, and it's like, it's just building up. And I felt as though very ballsy for them to just put all the eggs in the basket right now. Of course, we know that there's possibly more signings that are coming. But of course, Daniel Bryan, like, being hyped and everything, he met, and I watched the scrub for him as well. He wasn't sure if he's able to use the yes chant, because he wasn't sure of trademarks or anything, but he said he was going to figure something out. And then Tony Khan, of course, being the businessman, was like, I don't think there's any trademarks, so we might use it. Like, yeah, you got to make the money you got to get the money where the money is. So yeah, I mean, it's the fans still chanting yes anyway, so I say, why not? Why not? But yeah, oh my gosh, this show was so good. The crowd going crazy, and this was awesome. Like, you walked away from this pay-per-view feeling great. And now, people are saying, RIP to WWE and all this other stuff. And, WWE needs to watch out. And I say, WWE is taking down WWE itself. It's not AEW, because WWE doesn't see themselves as a wrestling company. That's why they keep saying sports entertainment versus pro wrestling. They see themselves as a brand, as an entertainment company. It's a reality show of a wrestling show. Like, I think I heard that from it was like this YouTube video that someone did that talked about pro wrestling, and it featured Triple H. And I think that they said it there, that it's a reality show about a wrestling show. That's the best way to describe WWE. And it's true. WWE is doing its own damage. Speaking of that, and I really hope this rumor is not true. But apparently there was a rumor about a pitch that WWE gave to Adam Cole when they were trying to get him to re-sign with the promotion. According to the Wrestling Observer, and like I said, I don't know if this is true, but apparently the idea was to turn Keith Lee heel and have Adam Cole be his manager, probably with a different name because of the last name Cole, but kind of like a Leo Rush, Bobby Lashley thing, where you have this little guy who is a big talker and he hides behind the big, massive African-American guy. And they were looking for him to be more as a manager than a fucking wrestler. That's my quote right there, the fucking wrestler. Which I think is the dumbest thing ever. First of all, that goes to show that Vince McMahon does not watch NXT. Because if you had watched NXT for probably one night, you would know that Adam Cole is not a person who should be a damn manager. To be on the sidelines like that makes zero sense, okay? He should have been wrestling, and if that's what they gave him, I do not blame Adam Cole for walking away. You want to pay me big money just for me to stand in the sideline and say Keith Lee. Like, oh my gosh. I really hope that rumor is not true. If that rumor is true, and I feel as though it's something that they would do. Like, come on. Like that is so bad if that is true, that you would have someone like Adam Cole be a manager and not wrestle. And you got to remember, if it's similar to what Leo Rush did with Bobby Lashley, Leo Rush was pretty much like not liked for constantly doing that Lashley thing. And he barely wrestled. He did a bunch, he cut promos, which Adam Cole is good at promos. He is good at promos, but to not have him wrestle, and seeing as though what they did with Karrion Kross, I kind of slightly believe that this rumor is true, because they have no idea what to do with these NXT wrestlers. And Mick Foley, if you haven't heard what Mick Foley said, Mick Foley pretty much was like, if he was, a small wrestler today, he wouldn't trust WWE to handle his career because of the way that they handle their own talent. And he said, that's why AEW is doing what it does, because of what WWE destroys their own talent. And we see it all the time. I mean, we recently seen it with Karrion Kross. You took away Scarlett, which, was a big factor with Karrion Kross, especially with the entrance. You're going to put him in a Demolition cosplay outfit, and you had him lose to Jeff Hardy within like 4 minutes. It's, it is what it is. And apparently the rumor is that Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard are going to be producing NXT. And a lot of people are saying RIP to NXT and stuff like that. And I say, at first I was like, let's see what happens. But seeing as though Raw is, it is what it is, we more likely see the same stuff every single week. I slightly checked out the quote-unquote last Raw. I mean, not last Raw, the last NXT of the Black and Gold era, and it was a fine NXT. It was okay, but we'll see how things look next week. We will see. But yeah, but the fact that that's what was allegedly offered to Adam Cole is, like, I would say disgusting, because that was crazy. So let me quickly go to AEW Dynamite. We had CM Punk calling out, Taz jumping in saying, keep my man's name out your mouth type of situation. CM Punk calling out everyone. He even called out Little Hook there. But apparently he is going to be going against Ricky Starks, I think next Dynamite. I'm not 100% sure. We also saw Powerhouse Hobbs versus Dante Martin. MJF talking for the first time. And I already talked about Ruby Soho versus Jamie Hayter. I hope Soho is okay, because it looked like she it looked like she got hurt. The Dark Order seems to be breaking up a little more. And then we come to the segment where we had the Elite coming out. First of all, Adam Cole checking Tony Schiavone like, yo, I see how you are with my girl. Step the fuck off, or else I'm gonna beat your ass. And I was like, whoa, okay. Adam Cole obviously been watching Dynamite. He's been seeing how Tony Schiavone's been playing work husband. And now that the man is here, it's time for a divorce. You are no longer the work husband. Which I thought was pretty cool. And then we had Bryan Danielson come out, and he came face to face with Kenny Omega, and he challenged Kenny Omega and said that I was told that's not how it works here, but I think that you don't want me to face you because I'm better than you. And I thought he was going to add in the MJF portion and saying it. But I'm very interested on what we're going to do here, because wins and losses matter in AEW. When we have these power rankings and number 2's going to get the title shot and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I am very interested on what we do here, because you have a very fire feud. You have Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega, which a lot of people want. However, that's not how you do things. You can't just come up to the champion and challenge them. Like, that is done famously in WWE. You actually have to work your way up. You have to do a couple of matches on Dark and Dynamite, which I kind of disagree with. I don't like that Dark and Dynamite kind of counts into the win-loss record, because all you're doing in Dark and Dynamite is going against enhancement talent. So you can easily collect wins or even losses there. But, it is what it is. But I want Bryan Danielson to work for the title shot. Let's keep things the same. Let's keep the things the way it is. Because if Bryan Danielson gets that title shot, you need to do away with these wins and losses in the power rankings and who's number 2 is going to get the next title shot. Because Bryan Danielson is 0-0 and he immediately gets a title shot for the AEW championship. Now if it's like the Casino Battle Royale or something like that, or if you guys do like a ladder match or something, that will kind of make things a little bit better, because at the same token, Ruby Soho was also 0-0 when she came in and got her title shot. But if he wins the Casino Battle Royale at well, I don't know if they're going to have one at Full Gear in November, but normally the men's Casino Battle Royale is in May with the Double or Nothing. We'll see how they try to do this. But goodness gracious, Bryan Danielson is just, that was a really good segment, first off. And it will be definitely a red hot feud. Bryan mentioned that he wanted to face Kenny Omega, and he mentioned that he wanted to face, I think he also mentioned Jungle Boy and stuff like that. And I really appreciate his message that he gave complete props to those who have been there since day one, the AEW original, he called them. He said because they made it fun, and they made it fun, and they made it like a big thing for people like him and CM Punk and Ruby Soho to come over and, kind of not really elevate, but to come over as well. And I definitely feel as though, like, yeah, these people have wrestled through the pandemic to kind of like keep AEW, standing pretty much, and, to create an environment where it's like, I want to go there type of situation. So then we finally get to the main event, Jon Moxley versus Suzuki. And now there were promos and stuff like that on AEW Dynamite that they definitely could have done without. Because I think Dan Lambert had a lengthy promo where he talked crap about AEW once again. And this match between Moxley and Suzuki felt very short, especially for as hype as this was made out to be. First of all, Cincinnati was a very good wrestling crowd as well. But I wish that they definitely had give these two a lot more time. It felt short, and it was short. And I felt as though, I don't know if it was done purposely or they just didn't have the time because of the promos and everything else that was cut earlier in the day. But, I wish this would have been done a lot more. Give them a little bit more time. But from what I've seen, from what it was a pretty good match, I would say. Jon Moxley, of course, going through all of Japan, it seems like. So we will see who he's going to go against next week. So then going into Raw, we had Karrion Kross going against John Morrison. We have more of a Karrion Kross than we did before, but he's still doing that demolition cosplay, which I cannot get over. We also had Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax again, because everyone went crazy with that whatever that was last week. Someone in the creative team was like, let's do it again, and you guys actually, start acting like you are shoot fighting, because that was a good thing. But the biggest thing about Raw this week was tag team wrestling. for all the shit that we were talking about, how great that tag team match was in AEW and how that was the match of the year. And oh my gosh, the Young Bucks and yay, tag team wrestling. WWE said, we got tag teams too. And we didn't start off with a promo, which is very shocking. We had the tag team turmoil, which had, I don't know, what, 9 tag teams? Like everyone and anyone who could be a tag team was in this bad boy. We had the New Day, we had the Viking Raiders, we had Jinder Mahal and Veer, we had the Lucha House Party, which first of all had new theme music and definitely, came out of nowhere. Because WWE was like, we have a Lucha team too. We also had Mace and T-Bar, who then beat up New Day pretty badly, and then they decided to have the turmoil finish at the end of the show. We also had Mansoor and Mustafa. We also had who else we had? AJ Styles and Omos, and then Lashley and MVP, who then of course won, and then our Randy Orton seemingly challenged Lashley to a title shot. Yeah. Lashley and Orton going against each other at Extreme Rules, which is like, okay. I don't know. I know the first portion of the tag team turmoil took over an hour, which is like, I don't know. And then they broke it up. I mean, even if they didn't broke it up, it definitely would have felt it definitely would have dragged on top of that. Like, this was a fine Raw, but I don't know. It's just like and then we had Nikki Ash, even though she lost her title, is still smiling and, the ultimate Joan Cena, I should call her, being happy and go lucky and stuff like that, and teaming up with Rhea Ripley and, jumping on her and stuff. And it's like, okay. We also had the 24/7 championship that was defended in the ring between Reggie and Akira Tozawa. And we had everyone who came out, including Jeff Hardy, who is now chasing the 24 title. We had a cameo by Drake Maverick, who could have easily tried to get the 24/7 title, but he felt as though his suit was way too fly to try to get on the ground. I didn't really get a chance to really check out NXT like that, truthfully. I did see the portion with the bachelor party and the bachelorette party. I can't wait to see how this wedding goes. And then I checked out the match with Mei Ying. She sounded like Xia Li, but I know that it wasn't. Like, it's a shame that Xia Li is injured, so they kind of like had to do something instead. I mean, it's different. It is different to, the way that she wrestles in the ring. But I don't know where we're gonna go from here. Like, is Boa going to be the mouthpiece for her? She, it's like, it's cool, but I'm curious of how this is going to work long term. If she goes against more prominent wrestlers, it's like, how you're going to carry that feud if you're not really talking, if you're not cutting promos. But I guess we will see. But yeah, overall, oh yeah, and then with AEW Dynamite, something that I completely forgot, MJ motherfucking F. Whoa. Like, I get that you want to draw heat, but it's like, yo, to go there with the mom and the drug issue, I was like, I don't know. Like, that was very, very edgy. And I know that it was, it was made okay by Brian Pillman and by his sister. And I'm trying to figure out, I remember watching Dark Side of the Ring, and I want to say that she's actually the stepmom, not the actual mom. Because I think, yeah, I think Melanie is the stepmom and not his birth mom. Because I know the birth mom had passed away, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah. Um, I think that's what it was that, um, Melanie, I don't know. But I could have sworn the story was that, she wasn't their biological mom, but I guess she is. Um, but yeah, to go there with the mom was pretty crazy. Um, and I'm going to, like I said, I figured it was made okay by Brian Pillman and everything. And, you know, props to AEW for wanting to give Pillman his time to shine. It seemed like he was very nervous talking during his promo. Like his voice was like kind of shaky and stuff like that. But, you know, MJF is who he is. Like, I guess you got to get heat any type of way. Maybe he could have done it a little differently, but I guess if Brian Pillman Jr. told him to go for the jugular, that he decided to go for the jugular, and just to try to get a reaction out of them too. But I also appreciated too that they announced that they were there, especially the sister of Brian Pillman, that she was there ringside. CM Punk had mentioned her on TV. Normally situations like that with WWE, like you don't see it on TV. Like it's kind of like they're put on non-camera side, so they're not like taking away any TV time or whatever it is. But yeah, all in all, this was a very good week in wrestling, especially with AEW. Now was AEW Dynamite perfect? No. And so I'm hoping that people coming from AEW All Out, expect AEW Dynamite and Rampage, and for the company as a whole to get 20 times better. It's a slow build. It is a slow build. AEW is only 2 years old, and so I have more patience for AEW than I do for WWE, who has been in the game for 30 years. So AEW may have a slip up or two, and I'm not going to really jump on them like that. Now, and like once they hit year 5, then yeah, I expect a little more out of them. Once you hit 5 years, you should definitely know what the hell you're doing, and your division should be definitely a lot better. But yeah, I'm definitely happy for wrestling, period. It's definitely a fun time, and I'm hoping that maybe, I know that AEW is not considered competition to WWE. I'm just hoping that WWE decides to take things a little bit more seriously with their talent. But I really don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. Maybe, with what Mick Foley said, and then Booker T apparently, backing him up. Who knows? But I'm just hoping that wrestling gets better as a whole. That's all. But that's it for the wrestling, for the WrestleBread podcast. It's getting a little late on my end of the world. Thank you so much for listening. Let me give shout outs to Julian Rob Bass from Wrestling Court Podcast and on TurtleMinds.com. Keita and Jay from the Keita and Jay Show. Kris from We Talk Next podcast, which is featured on the Keita and Jay show, Nando and Larry from Half K podcast, Devin Hafiz from Clark Street Wrestling. Also, shout out to Straight Talk Wrestling, Circle of Debate, and Top Rope Wrestling podcast as well. Be sure to hop on Twitter. You can follow me at JDC137. That's JAYDEE letter C 137. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter at WrestleBread as well. You can click the links in the profiles. You'll get the link to the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, which I promise I'm going to do something with that as well. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. Be sure to check me out on Twitch every Saturday and Tuesday at 9:30. Right now I'm playing Miles Morales. I might be playing Final Fantasy VII next or something like that. Maybe even Far Cry. I'll put a poll up or something like that. But yeah, be sure to follow me everywhere. Follow the podcast everywhere as well. Leave a review and let me know your thoughts. How did you feel about AEW Dynamite? Or AEW All Out, I should say. What do you hope to expect from this new NXT, which is definitely giving me in living color vibes. And I know people were like, oh, they're copying off of AEW with the colorful bomb. And it's like, yeah, but let's not forget that AEW has the black and gold, just like NXT has the black and gold. So it is what it is. Let's just enjoy what's happening here and just hope for the best, but kind of expect the worst too. Yeah, leave a review. Let me know your thoughts of what you feel about AEW All Out as well. And until next time, guys, peace.